In this video, I have prepared a power ranking for the 20 most powerful dragons in cinematic universes. You already know that I am continuing this concept, because I wanted this to be a video full of details about these unique and unparalleled creatures that we have encountered so far. Especially in 2025, the live-action films of a series where dragons live in abundance will begin. Considering this, it is necessary to remind you of which dragons we have seen so far. However, just before starting the video, if you are new to the channel and do not want to miss the content, do not forget to subscribe and like the video. Number 20. Kavus.
Where are you hiding?
This dragon, which we encountered in the movie Demsel, was a very intelligent and talking creature, but had a small size. At least I think it was extremely small for a dragon, because it was a fire dragon that was about 10 meters long. I will also mention another dragon that is as small as this one on the list, but has more features. However, just because it is an intelligent dragon, I wanted to add it to the list. In fact, it looks more like a monster that came out of ancient Egypt than a classic dragon. If its firepower was more intense and it was shown that it could fly at high speeds, I would have put it in a better place on the list. But right now, the end of the list is perfect. Number 19. Dreamfire. To be honest, I don't know much about the dragons in this series other than their powers and features. Therefore, I will only talk about the size and reputation of the dragons and move on. The size and age of the dragons are extremely important in terms of the balance of power between them in this universe. For example, being 30 meters long for an old dragon is not a good thing. However, the fact that a young dragon is 30 meters means that it can grow even bigger in the future. Dreamfire was an old dragon in general and was 30 meters long. Number 18. Meleys, the Red Queen. Meleys, also known as the Red Queen, was a female dragon. Although not as big as the other dragons in the series, she was 48 meters long. Since she was a bit old and lazy, I thought I should put her back on the list. Number 17. Caraxes.
Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm, do hereby name.
Also known as the Bloodworm due to her red scales, this dragon was 42 meters long. Her build was a bit different from the other dragons, and even had wing details on her feet. Number 16. Vermithor.
Here I am!
This dragon, which was about 60 meters long, was also known as the Bronze Fury. Unlike many other dragons in the series, she was intelligent enough to bond and train. 15. Number Vhagar. Vhagar, who was 76 meters long, was an extremely large and deadly dragon. She was known as the Queen of all dragons and could melt the most durable armors with just her flame power. 14. Number Rodan. Rodan, as the Fire Demon Titan, was a character inspired by Smaug. Although we have seen Rodan in old movies, it was explained that they were inspired by Smaug when the cinematic universe design was being prepared. Rodan, who was approximately 50 meters long, had a wingspan of 300 meters. He did not have the ability to breathe fire, but thanks to the lava he released from his wings, he burned everything to ashes. Rodan's flight alone was enough to destroy the earth. It was almost impossible for any firepower to harm Rodan. Number 13. Ion Dragon. This dragon, who was crazy enough to challenge Godzilla, of course had no extra power. In other words, it could not breathe fire or secrete anything else. It was about 70 meters long and was physically confident. It destroyed a ship called USS Lawton and then carried the ship miles away. In other words, it had no extra features other than its flight power and physical strength. and most likely died after the final battle. Number 12. Tiamat. This dragon, which was 260 meters long, was of course referred to as this sea dragon. Tiamat was the titan with the greatest energy living on the planet. It had the power to attract lightning and thunderbolts. It could live both in the ocean and on land. As long as she was in water, Tiamat was a nearly invincible titan. However, on land, she was quite vulnerable since she walked on 4 legs. Therefore, if the fire dragons that could fly in the air caught her on land, Tiamat would have no chance. Number 11. Cannibal. The only dragon known to be as big as Balerion in the series was Cannibal. As the largest and oldest of the wild dragons, of course he had to be on the list. They called him a cannibal because he fed on dead dragons and newborn dragons. He was about 90 meters long, making him one of the largest dragons we have seen in the series. Number 10. Balerion. Balerion, also known as the Black Terror, was the largest dragon known in the House of the Dragon universe. Balerion was so big that when he flew, he left a huge town under his shadow. Balerion, which is 91 meters long, is of course no match for the dragons in other universes. After all, he had a rider and was guided by him. 9. Belok Rosenblatt. This character, the king of the ancient monster race known as Kaiju, is probably known to many of you from Cartoon Network. Belok, who had an infinite life, was a ruthless demon with the ability to change shape. As an intelligent dragon who could talk, he was 90 meters long. He could stand on 2 legs and also take on a dragon form on 4 legs. He had classic flame breath and was extremely strong. Considering that he was an intelligent and shape-changing dragon compared to the others, it is not surprising that he is higher. 8. Number Red Death. We will have the chance to see Red Death again with the live-action movie How to Train Your Dragon, which will be released in 2025. This evil dragon, who is in the How to Train Your Dragon series, was 122 meters long. Of course, it wasn't the strongest dragon in the series, but in terms of firepower, there was no one as strong as Red Death. It could fly and was the alpha of its own dragon hive. It can't be said that it was very intelligent, but considering its physical strength and firepower, it could eat other dragons for breakfast. Number 7. Bewilderbeast. While the live-action movies have started, get ready to see the alpha in the cinematic universe in the future. Bewilderbeast, the largest dragon we've seen in the How to Train Your Dragon series, was almost 160 meters long. Although its upper body was covered in extremely strong armor, its belly was extremely weak and deadly. It didn't have the flame-breathing feature like other dragons, but it's worth noting that its ice breath was much more effective. Of course, breaking or enduring ice breath won't be a big problem for other fire dragons. So, considering its physical strength and bulky structure in general, it was impossible for me to put it higher. Number 6. Night Fury. With the How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie, we had the chance to see a Night Fury again. I had previously prepared a detailed video about the Night Fury and explained to you why it is the strongest character in the series. In general, the Night Fury is extremely small compared to other dragons. However, thanks to its intelligence and alpha, it became the strongest character in the series. After piercing the chains that no other dragon could melt with its flame power with a single plasma blast, it showed us all how intense firepower it has. Thanks to its speed and aerodynamic structure, the Night Fury is a unique dragon in its pure form. If we were to base it on its condition without any injuries, you might find it a bit exaggerated. But for a dragon that can direct lightning, I think it's a pretty good ranking. Also, I don't think any of the dragons on this list could be supersonic. Number 5. Dragonstorm. Dragonstorm, which was formed by the Guardian Knights coming together, was of course one of the must-haves on our list. Dragonstorm didn't have very big weapons or equipment, since they were made of the same metal that made up Cybertronians. We know that the Guardian Knights were also very durable. As a three-headed dragon, it had the ability to breathe flames from each head. Dragonstorm, which is about 100 meters long, will have an important place on the list thanks to its strength and durability, although it is not very large in size. Number 4. Deathwing. This dragon we see in the Warcraft universe can be called the Warcraft equivalent of Smaug in Middle-earth. He was still a very intelligent dragon, but not only was he a dragon, he could also transform into a humanoid form. He was 152 meters tall when he was in dragon form. Of course, there were no sequels to Warcraft in the cinematic universe. Maybe if the story had continued, we would have had the chance to see more. Overall, he is a character on the level of Smaug. But until we see him in the cinematic universe, I put him behind Smaug for now. 3. Number Smaug. Smaug, who was 130 meters tall, was one of the most powerful beings to appear in Middle-earth. Thanks to his invulnerable skin and firepower, he managed to destroy a town. There is no army that Smaug cannot fight alone. As the last fire dragon to appear in Middle-earth, he was of course the last of his kind. Smaug could spit liquid flames, that is, lava-like flames, when he wanted to, and he had shown that he could spit gas when he wanted to. However, the reason I put Smaug so high on the list is not just his power, of course. Smaug was more intelligent than the vast majority of people currently living in the world. His senses and intuition were so developed that he could make inferences from even the smallest things to see the whole situation. Of course, as a dragon, they also showed situations where he was stupid because of his weaknesses. But as a result, Smaug had the intelligence to make strategies. Even though he was dipped in molten gold, he came out without any harm. As a dragon, it is not surprising that he can withstand high temperatures. According to the movie, I think Smaug was wasted in a very absurd way. Although there was someone using a black arrow in front of him, flying at him saying, "Come and shoot me," and hitting the wound directly was the worst way to waste the character. At this point, Smaug, because he was a little too egoistic, left his intelligence behind and made irreparable mistakes. Number 2. King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah was a three-headed dragon that was almost 160 meters tall. He did not breathe fire like other dragons. Instead, he had gravity beams. The scales covering Ghidorah's skin could resist even Godzilla's atomic breath, which was dense enough to pierce the earth. And he was not harmed in any way. Since King Ghidorah had oxygen independence, it was almost impossible to kill him. Even if you cut off one of his heads, a new one would grow immediately. Even the head that was torn from his body still had consciousness. He could manipulate the Earth's atmosphere and increase his own power by absorbing all kinds of energy. If even Godzilla could get his way, defeating dragons of his status would be a piece of cake for him. 1. Ankalagan the Black. The largest dragon known to have existed in the Lord of the Rings universe would of course be Ankalagan. He was raised by Morgoth in the First Age and was the largest dragon to have lived in Middle-earth. However, Ankalagan's only appearance in history was limited to the War of Wrath. This dragon was 30 times larger than Smaug. It had hands that could almost hold mountains. The firepower of Middle-earth dragons was also 1,000 times stronger than dragons in other universes. They could melt rings of power and were generally very intelligent beings. They were equipped to lead and command an army. That's why I wanted to keep Middle-earth dragons above the other dragons. Even if all the dragons on this list were to come together, I don't think they could bring down Ankalagan. Well, friends, I hope you liked the content I prepared. If there are other videos you would like to see, don't forget to write them in the comments. That's all for now. Take care and goodbye.